Today is Saturday, February 11th, and it's almost 9 a.m. and I have big plans to catch up a lot this weekend because I have fallen behind. I have put in 2 or 3 hours in every day of studying, except there were a few days that I missed, and the accumulation of not doing a straight 3 hours every single day, and also in combination with having started my study days late because I finished my reading days late. So I'm trying to really stick exactly to what I had said I was going to do when I laid out my plan. So I'm trying to not only do, like, for example, today's 3 hours, but I'm trying to catch up on all the previous hours that I had missed. Okay, so today is the 11th, and it's day 29 of my Cramathon, and all these empty boxes are the boxes that are hours that I have not studied. All the colored in boxes are hours that I have studied. So I have a plan. I was supposed to be ready to start studying this morning at 8 o'clock. You see the 8 in the box there. And I just used a light gray pen for that, which will be hidden when I color the boxes in. So I'm gonna miss that 8 o'clock hour because I slept in. It's about 5 minutes to 9 right now, so I'll have to start in by coloring the 9 o'clock hour there and go forward from there, and then I'll have to try to make up that 8 o'clock hour and one of what I had scheduled to be a break time. I'll try to have to squeeze that 8 o'clock hour in. So I have 9 o'clock and 10 o'clock hour I'm going to study, and 11:12, and then I have a break at the 1 o'clock hour for lunch and relaxation, and then 2, 3, 4, 5. Then I have 6 p.m., 7 p.m., and then that one that doesn't have a number in it is 8 p.m., and then I get to rest from 9 p.m. on. That may be when I make up the 8 a.m. hour that I missed today. And then this is tomorrow. Starting tomorrow, I'm going to be doing 8 a.m. and then a 9 a.m. break for breakfast and whatnot, and then 10 o'clock hour, 11 o'clock hour, etc. So if I stick to the schedule, then I will have almost caught up to where I'm supposed to be. So I'm going to see if I can be really disciplined and really basically be studying all day and all evening, Saturday and Sunday, today and tomorrow, to really catch up. So it's going to be really hard to force myself to do that, but that's my goal. That's how high it is. It's probably about 4 feet, but it has been melting the last few days. But it's seriously like a sea of snow out there. It is crazy. That would be up to my waist right now, at least. Okay, so I have studied now for 5 hours today, and I'm actually not too exhausted yet. I feel like I can push through the next 4+ hours of today's planned studying. Most of my studying today has been on creating memorization tricks for the different lab values. Many different lab values, something like 50, that I should definitely know being an RN and just taking the state test as well. That will be coming up, and it definitely, I'm pretty certain, will help me in my next 3 tests. Alright, so I've been doing the memorization tools for my lab values for the last few hours, and I'm getting tired of doing that. It's becoming monotonous and tiring, so I'm switching gears, and that's something I do when I feel like I want to keep studying, but I can't make myself do any more of the specific area of study that I'm in at the moment. So I'm switching gears now to my diagnosis sheets, which I showed you a video or so ago, where I'm giving the breakdown of what a diagnosis is and the description, etc. And I find that's really a good way to change the course of my studying from one topic to another. It wakes my brain up. I get to relearn different things about diagnoses, and so it's really valuable because it's stuff that I'm going to need also for my test, but it's just a totally different area of study than what I was doing these last 2 hours. So instead of memorizing numbers for lab values, I am relearning how a certain disease is transmitted, how long it lasts, what are the nursing interventions for that disease, and just important things to know about each disease. So I'm switching gears to that now. I'll probably do that for an hour or so, and when I feel like I have enough energy for it again, I'll switch back to the lab values. Alright, so this is Quizlet, and it's Quizlet.com, and I've used it for memorizing tests in the past. It's similar to cram.com. I do like some of the games that it has. So it has matching games, and it times you to tell you how fast you're able to match the questions and the answers, and so I'm planning on using that for my labs. So I'm going to create a set, and I already started this one, so I typed in labs to memorize, and I typed in my first card. And when you want to make something bold, apparently, according to the keyboard shortcuts, it says that you just need to do an asterisk and then your text and then an asterisk. So we'll see. Okay, I wonder if you have to do that for every single one. I'm going to try it this way. Asterisking a section, and then I want this word to be bolded, and then I want this word to be bolded. Actually, only until there, so let's see what happens. And then I want the R to be bolded, and that R, and then these B's. And then I need to create a few more cards in order for it to count as a set, or else it won't save it. So let's just go like this and not worry about putting in the bolds quite yet. Let's hit create and see if I got some of those bolds. So Yeah. Oh, it bolded exactly what I wanted it to bold, so that's really good. So now I can go through and create the rest of my flashcards and bold everything, and then I can take my phone, which I'm currently recording on right now, and open up the app and then play like matching games and start to get this information into my brain. The method that I'm using to memorize my labs, I'll have to look and try to find if there's an actual name for the method, but I learned about it from this book here. It's by Harry, Lorraine, and Jerry Lucas. I read this in high school and passed many a test using its tricks. They have a page in here. I probably shouldn't show you the page, so I won't, but there's a few pages which show you exactly which numbers stand for which letters. So, and they're all consonants. And I have seen it online as well, so I will put right now the key that I've seen all over online, which matches the one that's in this book, for which numbers stand for which consonants. What you do is say that you have the number 60. So 6 stands for CH, it could be SH, it could be J, so J, Ch, Sh, and so that's for 6, and then 0 is Z or S, Z, S. So you're going to be looking to create a word out of that combination. So it could be jazz, for example. So the J is one of the consonants that works for the number 6, and then Z is one of the consonants that can be used for 0. So you have 6, 0, or J and Z, and then the vowels don't matter, so jazz stands for 60. So then you just create a story that includes jazz in it, and then you have your number 60. So if I were talking about glucose, although glucose, the number 60 is not pertinent to glucose, but if it were, then I could think something like there was a lot of sugar on the floor as people were dancing to jazz. So I put the two things together, glucose and jazz, and then I think, oh, okay, glucose is 60, but it's not, so don't get confused. Just throwing that out there. So I'm going to show you now how that looks going through my cards that I made using that method, and it takes a long time for me to create the stories and to figure out which consonants I'm using for which numbers, but you know, the book says that you get faster at it as you go, but the thing is, it really works, because although it's taken me forever to create my stories for what I'm trying to memorize, I just started going through some of my flashcards right now, and already I was getting almost everything right on my very first try because I was remembering the stories. So it's definitely worth it. And obviously you want to get to the point where you don't have to tell yourself a whole story to get to the answer. But so, you know, if a test asks how much folic acid is an abnormal level, you don't want to have to write out the whole story to yourself or really go through it in your mind. But it's a really great first step, because if it weren't for me doing this, then I would not be able to tonight write down the numerical answers to all of the lab values. But I can, because, or I'm close to it, because I am doing this method. So as time goes on and I keep actually practicing it, then I won't have to tell myself the whole story to get to the normal range for the lab. I'll just, by that time, my brain will have made the connection, so I'll just know, oh, this number fits this lab. But this is a really good starting place, and especially if you're going to take a test soon. And for me, honestly, if I were trying to just memorize these numbers by practicing them a billion times, that would actually be less time effective and probably less memory effective. It probably wouldn't stick in my mind well enough compared to the method I'm doing now. So I'm just going to show you how this goes. You can't really see the screen well, but I'm just going to read it out to you. So it says red blood cell is one side of the flashcard. And then I know I've made up a story where a male, so I made it Batman, is rolling in a lily patch. So for that, the main words were roll and lily. So that would be 4, and 4 is R, and then L is 5, so 45, and then Lily is 5, so 45 to 5 for males. And then for women, so Catwoman was eating a raw rabbit, and so it's raw and rabbit, except for the T doesn't count, so just rab counts. That was the best thing I could come up with. So raw is going to be raw is 4, just 4, so 4.0 or 4.0, and then rabbit is 4, and B is 9. So 4.0 to 4.9 for women, and then for males it's 4.5 to 5.5. So I'm going to flip it, and I got it right. 4.5 to 5.5 for men, and then for women 4.0 to 4.9. So I got that right, and that's just because I told myself the story. So I'm ready to go on to the next one. The next one is white blood cells, and the story I made up with that is that there are people in a white waterfall, and they are wearing boxes around their body, and for me, I just made up that if they're wearing a box around their body, then that means that it's in the thousands, and if they're wearing a box over their heads and their bodies, then it's in the 100,000s. So this is just, they just have it over their bodies, so it's in the thousands, and so they're rolling around in it, and then they put their toes in boxes to keep them warm. So it's roll and toes, I think, are the two key words there. So roll is 4, 5, and we know that it's in the thousands, but this one I fudged, so it's 4,500. So that's, there's a thousands involved, but it's not 45,000, it's 4,500. And these are things that, like, for me, just how with the last one, the rabbit, I didn't use the T, I just used the R and the B. These are things that's why you practice too, because a lot of my stories aren't perfect, but they're good enough for me to remember the rest. So in this case, it's 4,500 for the lower range through, and then toes, T is 1 and S is 0, so it's 4,500 to 10,000. So let's flip the card. Yeah, 4,500 to 10,000 for white blood cells. And then I'm trying to repeat it to myself afterwards and say, okay, so white blood cells are 4,500 to 10,000. So that I'm just making the quick connection to in my brain. Alright, so the next one, so neutrophils. So when my story is when we neutered Phil, we let him choose a rose to make him feel better. So it's choose and rose. So CH is 6. So 6, and then S in choose is 0, so 60. And then rose, R is 4, and then S is 0, so that's 40. Now obviously in a range you're going to have the lower number first, and so this is one where it just made sense in the sentence to say choose a rose, but I know that it's actually 40 to 60. So let's see if I got it right. Are neutrophils 40 to 60? Yes, they are. Neutrophils are 40 to 60. So far I've gotten all the first 3 right, and 63 is going to be my total that I memorize before the test. So it really works out well for me. and I highly suggest it. I think it's a really effective way of learning things. Okay guys, I studied 9 hours and 20 minutes today, which I'm pretty happy with. I had meant to study 12 hours today and just taking a break to eat dinner and a couple of TV breaks. I lost 3 hours, so I was able to finish 9 hours, and that's good enough to satisfy me. I'll show you on here my bullet journal. So I colored in today's with this teal. So all these teal boxes are the hours that I studied today. So, and I wasn't doing that in previous days. I was just coloring whatever I thought was pretty. But just to see how many I got done in one day, I chose to stick with one color. And so these are my 9 boxes for today. And then tomorrow I'll start a different color.